Calling to order our City Commission meeting on Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. At this time, we're going to have the invocation and pledge by Neil McGee from Lynn Haven United Methodist Church.
Would you pray with me? Father God, we thank you for this day and for all the blessings that you provide. We thank you for allowing us to live in such a great country and a great community. We ask for your guidance as we move forward in making our city better and better each and every day. Please help each of us to do our part as members of this community. And again, thank you for blessing us and help us to be a blessing to you and to others. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. At this time, we will have our public hearing on the proposed millage rate for 2021 tax roll. This hearing will begin at 5:31 p.m.
Good evening. This is the final step in the budget process for the truth in millage rate. 3A is asking you to approve a millage rate of 4.1 for fiscal 21-22. Do you have questions?
Any questions for Ms. Roman? Any questions from the public? All right, no questions from the public. Is there a motion to adopt resolution? Okay. City Manager, if you'll read the resolution.
So I'll read the resolution and then just a couple of comments from the City Manager from a report of the budget itself. Thank you, Kiki. It has almost been 3 years since Hurricane Michael. Our city was definitely unrecognizable and severely damaged. We have a city that is in dire need of a rebuild. We must rebuild for the future, but the city continues to make progress and become stronger every day. The city has had some challenges. We've had to make some hard choices, but we continue to look to the future. With an annual inflation rate predicted to be 8.8%, this will be a challenge for all of us. This budget is a measured approach to help the city to be solvent. One of them was last year, the millage rate was 4.3. This year, we lowered the millage rate by 2 points and proposing a millage rate of 4.1. We did not make any changes to the water, sewer, or sanitation. Come October, you will no longer see the stormwater fee on your utility bill, but you will receive a non-ad valorem assessment from the property appraiser. Last year, the commission gave us marching orders, and they said, tighten your budget, tighten your belt. We and the staff did just that. We made very significant cuts in all funds, but we will not fail the citizens of Lynn Haven by taking shortcuts or reduce the level of service. In fact, this year we will be more productive to become more efficient, more proactive with our services to the residents. It is our goal that the level of services not be shortchanged just because we tighten our belts. We feel the best way to be more efficient is striving to do things differently than before. For instance, more technology, more efficiency in technology. One of the things that we're doing is doing Tyler Notify. This will be able to help us to communicate with our residents. This software will help us to communicate with residents about updates, water notices, road closures, a digital work order program in which for the public works and for our residents. A smoke testing program that identifies leaks in our sewer system, and then many more. One of the things that we're also looking at in our advanced water treatment facility, we want to expand that from 2.5 million gallons to 4.5 million gallons. And we have some grant money that has come through to do that. The budget, again, is a measured approach to help the city be solvent. Planning for the future is so very important to continue to put strong infrastructure in place. We want to be able to give you, our citizens, clean water, better sewer, stormwater's fixed, and street infrastructure's fixed as well. Just to give you a small update, we have more than 132 vehicles in our fleet, 112 pieces of equipment. We have at least 50 of those that are in fleet that are over 10 years old. But we are still in service, and we continue to give you our best service. We are constantly looking for other funding sources for sewer. We have applied for over $43 million in grant applications in various categories. We have received $17 million of that. And then we're going to reapply for $19.8 million again. We will continue to pursue grants and do our best to serve the citizens of Lynn Haven. Now for the resolution, 2020-09370. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Bay County for fiscal year 2021, providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second. City Manager, you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldred?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. All right, this public hearing closes at 5.
Not
You can leave it.
not quite yet. The second portion of this is to have the budget approved. As we discussed at the two previous workshops, I believe that I've answered all of your questions. However, I give you this opportunity to ask me any other questions that have come to mind on the budget.
All right, are there any questions from the public? All right, no questions from the public. City Manager, if you would read the resolution.
Resolution number 2021-09371, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for an effective date.
All right, at this time, is there a motion to adopt the budget?
Move to approve the budget.
Second. All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. All right, motion passed. This public hearing is closed at 5:38 p.m. All right, moving on to item 4A, which is a public hearing. Please remember to address your comments to the chair and to limit your comments to 3 minutes, adhering to the sound of the bell. This public hearing is opened at 5:39 p.m. This first discussion will be proposed community redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Are there any public comments? Okay. Finance Director, if you'll.
Again, this is the CRA budget that has been discussed at two previous workshops. I offer you the opportunity to ask any additional questions you may have now.
All right, City Manager, if you would read the resolution for us, please.
Resolution 2021-09372, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven of Bay County, Florida, adopting the final Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-09372?
Motion to approve.
Second.
City Manager, if you will call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
This public hearing closes at 5:40 p.m. All right, moving on to our public commentary. Please remember to address your comments to the chair, 3 minutes. If you ask any questions, that is fine. We will respond to those questions if we can during our time of reports, during the city manager's report, city attorney's report, the mayor or commissioner's reports, or we would have to follow up with you afterwards to get a more direct answer to your question. At this time, we have anyone for public commentary? Mr. Walker.
Good evening. Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. At a recent strategic meeting you had, a little different than what I'm used to with the previous administrations, but you asked the staff how the quality of life has been improved from their perspective. You did not allow the citizens to say or answer that question. I'm here to tell you what I would have said if you asked me, how's the quality of my life improved in the last 20 years with the people that have been running this city? You pride yourself by saying whatever went on before is not your responsibility. Yes, it isn't your responsibility, but you inherited it. And if there's something wrong with it, you got to fix it. You're finding that out right now. There's a lot wrong, and you've got to fix it. The quality of my life has changed in 20 years. And in the last couple of years, it's been drastic change. So hard that I can't understand how anybody can live in this town with these rules. You tell me how high my grass can grow. You tell me what color I can paint my houses. You can tell me what I have to pay for taxes and assessments, and you don't let me speak about it or talk about it. So the answer to your question to your staff, oh, by the way, some of your staff doesn't even live in Lynn Haven or pay taxes in Lynn Haven, is this. If you take a look at the widening of 390, widening of 389, the 950 acres, the fuel depot, and our representation at TPO, I'm not getting any quality of life here. Right now, the prices of houses have gone from $250,000 to $400,000 on lots that are half the size of what we bought in 1911 plat. Gentlemen, ladies, I would take a strong look at what you're doing to this city. If you asked your constituents, they'll tell you, it's not what I bargained for. It's not what I flew over here in 1982 and took a look at. Granted, you can have growth, but you're not controlling it at all. I would suggest you read this and see what rules you're supposed to follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to update you on our progress so far in reducing sanitary sewer overflows. Staff this week has identified a 6-inch sewer lateral that allowed a city block of water to flow into it. We just today found what we believe to be a major contributor along the 17th Street ditch. We're going to investigate that tomorrow and hopefully identify and fix that big source. So we've made some pretty good successes here lately. We're up to 8 4-inch sewer cleanouts that we've found and fixed. We also have identified an office building that we think has their roof drains plumbed into the sewer system. So I just want to take the opportunity to, even though the weather's great, things are quiet, we're still working the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Johnny Bashir's 811 Louisiana Avenue. Just a couple quick things. I would like to say, just for me, my quality of life in Lynn Haven is as good as it could be as far as the city's concerned. Y'all have done everything you can to try to make our lives here the best possible way. So I'm happy with Lynn Haven. I've lived here basically all my life. The second thing, I've had several interactions with city employees in the last couple of weeks, and I just wanted to say I've come away from each of those encounters happy and satisfied with their results, with their activities, and what they're trying to do. I think they really try to help us, and they don't get publicly acknowledged enough for that. So I just want to say thank you to the city employees for all they do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Parker, Red Place. One thing I want to bring up is there was a poll that was taken on Lynn Haven neighbors in reference to the plat sizes. And I just want to give you those results. If y'all want to view them yourself, you're able to do that as well. The 68 people said they were for the return to the larger sizes, 6 were against, and 3 had no preference. I know this is a small amount of people that actually answered the poll, but I think you can see that people are for return to larger plat sizes. Also, the second thing I wanted to bring up was, Mayor, you had said in a previous meeting that no one was interested in the debt meeting that we had, because there was only like 2 people there. I understand that. But I don't think the public has an opportunity to review the debt before. Is that correct? They don't have an opportunity to review, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think in that instance, I think a budget committee would be helpful. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Bob Schultz, 509 Pennsylvania Avenue. I just wonder, when are we going to get our library started? I understand there was insurance and also some FEMA money. Now that we're getting started in City Hall, I don't even hear nothing in the news or from any of you people. When are we going to get a library started?
Thank you. Anyone else, public commentary? All right. Moving on to agenda item number 6 for today, Mayor's Report. Want to open up just sort of discussing a little bit on community engagement, just some of the things I've been able to participate in and be a part of in our great community here in Lynn Haven. Last week was able to go over to Lynn Haven Elementary School and see Principal John Cannon and his students lead their CU at the Pose event. Commissioner Perno was able to be there. I think it was a well-attended event, and we were received a lot of commendation from the residents that were there as a city that's being engaged with our community, and so they were very thankful for our presence there on that event. I also had a chance to go and watch Mosley versus Lincoln. Mosley won 42-14, so this is a very exciting season for Mosley with their new head coach, Tommy Whitten. Mosley is 5-0, believe they're ranked number 3 in the state. And so just a very exciting season. They went down to Mobile last week, and I think it was like 49-0. And so Mosley's doing really, really good. So if you can go out and watch some of the Mosley football games, don't forget about North Bay Haven. I have not had a chance to attend their game yet, but I do plan on attending that. I think they're playing against Arnold this Friday night. And so that'll be an exciting local game as well. But just encourage us to go out and support our youth. Also, had a chance to conduct or be a part of a couple of interviews with seniors from North Bay Haven High School. in the history or the civics class there. So they came and asked me about what does it mean to be a local official and my role as mayor, and do I like it and what don't I like about it, and all those type of things. So so it was really nice to be able to engage with the youth in our community. And actually one of those young ladies came to our last city commission meeting, and I think someone might be watching it this time. And so from that, I have followed up with the city manager, and I'm working on a mayor's youth council initiative. And so I'll bring that back to you just to sort of apprise you on what that looks like and how we will work at getting our community engaged. I think one of the things, one of the people groups that we don't hear from in our community is our youth. I think we hear from our seniors, we hear from our adults, but we really don't hear from our youth. And so those interviews gave me a chance to really hear from them what they would like to see in Lynn Haven. And one of the young ladies asked, you know, when are we getting our sports complex back? And so I was able to take her over to the city manager's office and say, hey, take a picture of this. This is our sports complex. This is what it's going to look like. And she just talked about what the sports complex meant to her, her family, her brother, and all of their other friends that are in the community. And so she was real excited to know that the sports complex is coming back, and the different things that we were doing to update it and upgrade it so it can be a lively place for fun. And so so we're looking at getting a mayor's youth council started to have more engagement and more interaction at a city level from our youth, because they're not just our future, they're our today. And so if they don't begin to understand how Lynn Haven operates, how we as a city operate, then they won't be able to have that engagement that we need to continue to carry forward the things that we're doing here. And because we make our decisions based on wanting to make a better tomorrow for our children and our grandchildren. However, we also need to get input from them on how their tomorrow is going to look. And so, so we're looking forward to doing that. As it relates to citizens' concerns, I did follow with some citizens on the budget committee. And so many of them were not in favor of it, actually. They stated to me that the commission should be responsible for maintaining fiscal accountability for the city. As it relates to the debt review committee, as I understand it, this might be the first time we ever had a debt review committee. Have we had a debt review committee before with you guys? So this was probably the first time I think we had a debt review committee, and I just saw a need because during the campaign I heard a lot of people asking about the debt, and people were giving numbers all over the place as it related to the debt. So when I was elected as mayor, that was one of the first things I discussed in my first meeting with the city manager is I would like for us to formulate a debt review committee so that we can be very precise on what the debt of our city is, so that we don't have numbers that are fluctuating all over the place, but so that we can know this is exactly what our debt is, and this is where our debt came from. And so I think the debt review committee, they did a fabulous job, as well as our staff, on updating us on what that debt looked like, and really just keeping the numbers simple. More than 50% of our debt came from Hurricane Michael. When we look at our $59 million debt, more than 50% of that is related to Hurricane Michael. And then for those who helped us work through those bonding issues, able to also solidify the leadership of our city manager and finance director, and said, hey, they're doing a superb job in managing our debt and in managing our budget as well. Also had several responses, as all of us did, about Florida Avenue. And so I've read those and taken those in soberly as I've thought about Florida Avenue. And today, I had a chance to go and hang out with the residents at Summers Landing Assisted Living Facility. So I was their guest for the day, so they invited me over and was able to introduce myself as the new mayor of Lynn Haven, and then open the floor for questions. And so they had different questions, and so it was great to see them and to meet with them, and also pledge to, I think they have 45 residents there, and so I'm going to help those 45 residents have a Christmas. So I've adopted 45 residents. Now, I don't make enough money as mayor to help 45 residents with their Christmas trees. So if there is someone here today who would like to adopt a senior from Summers Landing Assisted Living Facility, please see me so I can help knock out these 45, okay? But I didn't want to I wanted to alleviate that worry from them for that senior Christmas tree. And so when I told her I would take on the 45, you could just see the stress just go away. And so but now I have the stress, right? Because I have 45 seniors that I have to do something for their tree. But they're seniors, so they don't want much, new pair of socks, something like that. So it's not going to be bad. But if you're interested in helping a senior in our community at our Summers Landing Assisted Living Facility, then please see me after the meeting or send me an email, and I'll be sure that I get you on the list of those who are being one of the sponsors for that. As it relates to stormwater, today we did discuss earlier the CBDGR grants that will assist us in our stormwater projects to make sure we have matching funds with those. Also met with the residents of Moat Highlands. Commissioner Warwick was able to be there as well as a resident of Moat Highland about Andrews Place, the new subdivision being built behind Dundee, and the engineering team from Panhandle Engineering came out to update us on their updates to the stormwater plan. And so I know sometimes people are asking, what are y'all doing about the stormwater? You're letting them build and not stopping them from mitigating stormwater. And so what I can say is that after we've had our stormwater discussions here, that city manager, myself, Mr. Baker, Mr. Lightfoot have met with those engineers and those developers and say, hey, something has to change. We have to do something because our residents are saying that, hey, if we don't do something, then we're not going to be able to continue to try to add new developments in our area. And so Panhandle went back and did something. Now, is it something that we can all agree on? Probably not. But from what I could see on their plans, because all of us are not going to agree on everything, but from what I could see in their plans, and I don't know how Commissioner Warwick felt about it, that I think they maximize what they could do with stormwater in that area. That instead of just one pipe, now they're adding 3. And so they went back to maximize. And somebody would say, well, why can they only add 3? Well, I asked that. Why can you only do 3? Well, the road only allows them to do so much. And so I did appreciate the fact that they didn't just tell us that, hey, we've done the best that we can do, but they actually went back and made changes so that they could do better as it relates to mitigating the stormwater in that area. And one of the things that hopefully all of us learned from that time of time with Panhandle Engineering at Andrews, discussing Andrews Place, is that, and he repeated it several times, is that when a new development comes, that it is supposed to make the stormwater better than what it was before it was actually built. I don't know how many actually picked up on that, but he repeated that several times, that the stormwater itself is not supposed to worsen when a new development comes. It is actually supposed to be better on that plot than what it was before they started, which is a state requirement. So, but thank you to the residents that came out. We had about 20, 25 that sort of flowed in and out through that. And when we've had some significant rain, I've gone by just to check to see how that's doing, and it seems like the water's flowing pretty well. I haven't gotten any phone calls from my neighbors saying, hey, it's back in my yard again. And so it seems like whatever they've done temporarily to mitigate stormwater issues for those residents on Dundee, it seems like that's working for now. And so we just hope that as we add the concrete in the homes and all of that, that it continues to have that same ebb and flow. As regards to final remarks, just really excited about this Saturday. I'm getting my arm warmed up for the first pitch as we have opening day, 9 a.m. at Kane Griffin for our baseball and softball season. And so just really excited about that, and just ask that you go out, support our children and families as they get ready to get started with baseball and softball. Also, I know comments were made about our quality of life and in regards to improvement. Just this week, and City Manager may elaborate more on it in her report, we received an email from Becca Hardin saying that Lynn Haven is listed as number 16 for cities, with beautiful beach cities where you can retire for dirt cheap. And so that was pretty interesting and exciting to be that. And also, we received notification from our chief of police, and you might have also saw it on our Facebook pages, that Lynn Haven is in the top 10 for safest cities in the state of Florida. And so I think our quality of life certainly is improving as more people are wanting to move here. And when you look at that top 10 safest cities, that's in comparison to cities such as the size of Jacksonville, Miami, as well as our neighboring cities like Panama City and Callaway. So it isn't safest cities under 50,000 or safest cities under 100,000. It's the safest cities in Florida. And it's not our first time being in the top 10. We have consistently been in the top 10. So I commend our fire department as well as our police department for our safety and security, so that we can continue to be a great place to live and have an awesome quality of life. And that is my report. Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. Aside from the generalities of the job of emails and calls, I just want to thank our city staff for the work that they do as well. And that's all I have in my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aldridge. Commissioner Perno?
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to thank our city staff, especially the work y'all did on the budget. Ms. Kiki, I think that it's evident that we tightened our belts, and I know there was a decrease in the budget in the CRA, but I think the entire all the city employees, staff, need to be thanked for the undertakings that we've had over the last few months. I'd like to thank our first responders and our healthcare workers. And I'd like to especially thank our citizens. We're striving, we're getting through a hurricane season, and we've had a couple of close calls. My heart goes out to anybody that has issues from flooding, and I hope that we're addressing those issues for the future. I'd especially like to thank all the citizens that come to meetings. We're here to serve, and we get our propensity to serve from your issues and you getting with us about things. I can't thank y'all enough for your candor. Sometimes we're on opposite sides of the fence, but I learn a lot from everybody as we go forward, and I never close the door on someone else's opinions and how they can change and how they feel. So I just wanted to say that and say thank you for helping us serve. And with that, that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Perno. And as an insert, I forgot to mention, don't forget about our fall concert series that's on Thursdays at 6 p.m. I was able to go to the first one. A great turnout.
That was awesome.
Everyone that came out said they really thoroughly enjoyed the atmosphere. And with those events, let's keep in mind, we're not just serving Lynn Haven residents, we're serving county residents. We have people that come from Callaway, Panama City Beach, Springfield, just all over the county that come and enjoy the events that we do here. So great turnout. And also don't forget about Food Truck Friday from 11 to 2 p.m. Don't forget about that. Commissioner Ward?
Yes. So like the mayor said, I did attend the meeting at Mowat Highlands talking about the St. Andrews Plantation development. I was impressed with some of the things that were said. There was one resident, and I didn't know this, but when this first started, I guess he went out and talked to one of the equipment operators, say, hey, we got problems over here, and he immediately stopped what he was doing to try to mitigate those problems. So they are being proactive and trying to mitigate as much as possible. My goal is, once this is all done, that no houses get flooded, and so far that hasn't happened. I don't think that's going to happen. But one thing to keep in mind is, I read somewhere, I think it's, if we get another 6 or 8 inches of rain this year, it's the most rain we've had in like a decade or something like that. So we have had a lot of rain. But the one thing I want to educate myself on is when new developments come in, if there's any other mitigations we can put in place, and maybe there's not, I don't know, but that's one of the things I would like to look at. But I thought it was a great meeting and very educational. I did have my time with the commissioner this past Saturday, and I had 6 people show up. Of course, stormwater was one of the topics that we talked about. One of the things I learned about stormwater is, I don't know if anybody knows Jack Cutchins. He actually wrote about the history of Lynn Haven, and I read his book when I was doing history about the VFW when it actually was here in Lynn Haven. And he, there have been 3 occasions when his wife has come in and he has written some history stuff and he's given to us, the commissioners. I don't know if you guys have read the one about the stormwater and sewer and that, but I found it very interesting, the problems they had back in the early 1900s and what we have now. There's actually a lot of similarities with that. So, but yeah, I learned a lot talking with him, and I know the mayor brought this up, but someone had brought up about the Budget Advisory Committee, and I actually got the opposite feedback where they thought it was beneficial. So I would like to hear more residents' feedback on that. But we talked about multiple things. There was a couple residents that had a couple different problems that I talked to the city manager about that we're working through, and some phone calls and that. So, and And today, I got to meet with the city manager, Bobby Baker and Chris Lightfoot. They were having a meeting to discuss their stormwater project listing plan for the future. And I asked, would you mind if I could sit down on it? And they're like, absolutely. And I got to learn some more. I met Chris Lightfoot when I was originally campaigning, and he was very helpful. He spelled out his whole stormwater plan, and I thought back then it was a very solid plan, and I think he's still got a very solid plan. He's always making changes to it because it's literally a fluid plan, because things do change as we fix things, and he's staying on top of it, and I'm very impressed with his work and very impressed with all the other staff's work. So I appreciate all the hard work that they've done, and that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. And I think in regards to mitigation with development, I know Mr. Baker mentioned that they would be getting with Amanda Richardson on increasing from the 25-year to the 100-year requirement. So I think that's one of the most immediate things that they've tried to do for new developments as it regards to mitigation on that. All right, Commissioner Tender.
Thank you, Mayor. Basically, in the last couple of weeks, I've just been dealing with residents on issues that range everywhere from lack of fencing to home inspection, flooding, and just a few items like that. And that's basically all I have to report.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does the city manager have anything to report?
Yes, a couple of things. I want to go with you. Mayor's already talked about a couple of the events, but one of the events on opening day, which is October the 2nd, before the opening day that begins at 9:30, then we will have a 9 o'clock unveiling of the historical marker for the Kane Griffin Green family. As you know, that facility at that area was actually where an elementary school was. And so we went on, and the family gave us some really great history. I think the family settled somewhere in the 1880s here in the city of Lynn Haven. It was an all-black elementary school, and so we're going to place a historical marker there. And some of those family members are our former mayor, Sharon Sheffield, her daughter Charlotte Marshall, will be there on Saturday at 9 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure that was also talked about. Other events that will be coming up is the Halloween trunk or treat. As you know, that is a very large event. We didn't have it last year simply because of COVID, and it was really, really bad last year. And we're going to try to mitigate as much as possible to make sure people still have a good time. But we're going to do that on October 30th from 5:30 to 8:30 because Halloween is on a Sunday this year. So that's those are some of the events that will be going on. Just a couple of things. September 30th, as the commission talked about, I think it was last meeting, putting a date on when we would stop the waiver of fees, the late fees. And so we put into place September 30th that all of those fees would be back on their next billing cycle. Just want to remind residents of that. We attended the Charter Review Committee, and that committee is doing a great job. They are working hard and working through a lot of issues and just working very well together. We are working a couple of policies that I think are very critical, and these will definitely come before you. First one is crisis management. We have an emergency management policy, but do we have a crisis management policy that incorporates from both PD and fire? And so I'll be working with both departments to put that crisis management plan in place. Then we are also going to be meeting this week with IT to put in place a cybersecurity policy. That is a big part of cities right now, and we need those policies and procedures in place as part of our insurance and risk management, so that we can show that we are taking every precaution for our city. The next table talk will be September 30th at 5:30. the Public Works bid for the remodel of the Public Works. We did open those bids, or we tried to open those bids on September 21st. We will have to re-advertise that because we did not receive any, and the one that did come in came in late, so we could not accept that bid. And so we will be re-advertising for the remodel of the Public Works. The ditch digging bid is due on 10/5, ditch digging bid. And that is a bid, a proposal that will help the city tremendously in digging some of the ditches. And you'll see later as we begin in the new fiscal year, you'll see a map that we will put out. These are just some of the things that we talked about today with Commissioner Warwick and let him know our plan. You'll see a map that will be put out about where we are. These ditch digging projects will be divided in zones, and you will be able to see online when you're next and where those ditch digging projects will begin. So we'll keep you updated on that. We have an entire plan that is going to go on the website, and you will be able to see that when you come on the website. It won't be hidden. We're going to add another line there, another subject that says stormwater, and when you click on that, then you'll be able to go in and see all of the updates, everything that's happening with stormwater, along with we'll have a stormwater update at the commission meeting monthly, as we talked about. The traffic engineering RFQ is due 10/12. So want to update you on that. Update on the rebuild. Materials, you've seen that some of the materials have been delivered for the City Hall complex. You should see some construction next week. The sports complex ball fields just came out of TIPO and SHPO review, and those are our tribals. And just reading the email today, there were no comments, so hopefully we'll be able to release that project within the next 2 weeks. The sports complex gymnasium will probably come out of TIPO and SHPO review in the next 2 weeks. And then once that project comes out of those two authorities, we will hopefully be able to release that project somewhere the latter part of October. A pre-construction meeting was held for the fire station number 1, and we anticipate construction to last about 155 days, and the clock will start ticking actually October 4th. So, and then lastly, I think Mr. Schultz asked about the library. We are still in the planning stages that we've gone back several times with Mott McDonald on getting the design that fits the city, fits our budget, and making sure that when we bring it here that the commission has a pretty good idea of what we're trying to do. When you have money that's designated on the insurance side, FEMA reduces that first. So literally there was no money. Originally there was, but when they went back in review, that money was reduced to literally almost nothing because they're saying that that building was totally destroyed. So the insurance will pick up all of that money. And so hopefully next month, when we come through, we will have some preliminary plans for the commission to look at. And lastly, I want to pay homage to our veterans. And this idea actually came from one of our employees. And one of the great things about our employees is they bring ideas, and if we can do them, we surely will do them. That's where some of our best ideas come from. And so we, as a city, and anyone who wanted to participate in this, every Friday will wear red shirts. And it's actually called the RED program. It's remembering everyone deployed. And we'll wear red shirts every Friday. And this initiative was actually suggested by John Lane. And staff were not required to participate in this program. It was voluntary. They paid for their own shirts. And it is, from what I can see, all the shirts, it was great participation from staff. So I'm happy to say that when you see us in red shirts on Friday, we just feel like it's very important that we remember our veterans that have been deployed and just served our country very, very well. And that is my report.
Thank you. In commission, we may consider in our own way wearing some type of red on Friday. So.
I just want to note at the last one I had my red shirt on.
And you did.
I had on my red socks. City Attorney. Finance Director.
Per the city manager's instructions, you're going to see a slight change in the report in your packet. We're now giving you a list of all checks greater than $10,000. Do you have questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This time we have our consent agenda. Really just the minutes for 9/15/21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Moving on to old business. The final reading of Ordinance 1117, proposed amendments to Section 4.02.01B of the Unified Land Development Code, 1911, Historic Plat Overlay. City Manager, if you would read the ordinance by title only.
Ordinance 1117, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending Section 4.02.01 of the Lynn Haven Unified Land Development Code related to minimum lot area in the 1911 Historic Plat Overlay District, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing for an immediately effective date.
Thank you. This is the second and final reading. And at this time, we're going to ask Ms. Richard if she would give us an explanation and address any questions that we have.
Thank you. This Ordinance 1117 would amend Section 4.02.01 of the Unified Land Development Code, the required lot dimensions for properties located in a low-density residential future land use map designation within the 1911 historic plat, so it would only affect those properties that were low-density residential. Prior to December 2012, a buildable lot had to be at least 15,000 square feet in size unless it was one individual 50-foot lot that had been purchased and recorded prior to the 1975 tax rolls. In December of 2012, the City Commission amended the language of the ULDC to allow lots that were 7,500 square feet in size, so long as they were at least 75 feet wide. This ordinance would revert the requirements of the ULDC back to the language prior to the December 2012 amendment. A buildable lot must be 15,000 square feet in size unless either one 50-foot lot was recorded individually or multiple lots were recorded together, in which case they can be 75 feet wide plus times 150, equaling 11,250 square feet.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for Ms. Richards? One question I do have, and on Friday we received an email from one of our residents that I guess had historical data showing that prior to the 15,000 foot lot that it was actually a 7,500 foot lot, and then it was changed to 15,000, and I guess it's changed back to 7,500. So now we're changing it back to, or proposing that it might change back to the 15,000. So is there any validity in that information that we received that prior to the 15,000 square foot lot that was changed in 2012, that it was actually 7,500 feet and actually changed to that?
I don't know, sir, because at the time that you all first brought it up, you were talking about making the lots larger and reverting back to the 15,000. So that's what I did. I just took it back to the 15,000. If you want to amend it and make it a different size, then you can do that.
Yeah.
Mayor, I know Friday we also talked about the lot size possibly moving to 11,250 based on Mr. Bashir's brought up a suggestion, and also there was concern about the odd number lots, and I thought we were going to we at the time, I know we had a quorum, but there was two commissioners not there, and I know that Ms. Tender, that you even said at the last time that we need to look at this. So, and that's how I feel, is that we need to we need to research it and charge possibly our city attorney and Ms. Richards with taking a look at this again, where it can still be worded and solve everyone's issues that are concerned. Is it viable to do 11,250? Can we include the odd lots? I know I had spoken to city attorney. He probably could explain it better than me as far as what work needs to be done, and that'll give us time if we tabled it to reword it one more time to get it back through the planning board also. So.
Well, basically, but from the workshop, I know some of the discussions there was to maybe look at some sort of compromise and go with the 11,250, and then just the you wouldn't need the table anymore on the odd number lots, and so you can have those back-to-back lots and have still take advantage where it makes sense. So I think what I got coming out of that workshop Friday was maybe looking at going not totally back to the drawing board, but it was going to be significant enough amendments where we would need to rewrite a lot of the body of the ordinance and really not totally start over, but you have to bring it back again.
Yeah, I think for those of us that were able to be there, that we did talk about this, making sure it was very clear,
right,
and succinct, so that as homeowners or landowners are selling their lots to someone else, that person buying that lot will be able to look at the ordinance and be able to know specifically what they can or can't do. Certainly following up with Ms. Richards to get more clarification on what they can and can't do, but so they just won't assume that they can do something because the language will be ambiguous, maybe open to interpretation the way that it might be written now. So
I think we've dealt with all entities too. We've heard from the real estate people, we've heard from the people who are building projects, we've heard from the citizens who reside, and I think each time we've heard a little something, we've had to add a little more or what. So in order for this to be, to encompass, everyone, I think we just need to, we need to just do a little bit more tweaking on it.
And as you mentioned that, I think one thing to keep in mind is, we've heard from the planning board, but as we've sort of saying, hey, we want to set a precedence,
right,
that we're listening to our boards, that don't forget we did receive an email from the CRA board with a recommendation on how they think we should, handle this as well. So just as we're thinking, just review.
Also, with what we're doing, it might actually become approved by the CRA board. So if we can get it worded right and get it back through the planning board and let CRA board take a look at it, then it can actually appease everyone.
Okay.
So that's my feeling, is that we table it until we do a little more wording and make it right for everyone.
Commissioner Tender.
Mayor, I know that Commissioner Perno was the original commissioner that got me on board, and I was all excited about going back and saving the plat and all of that, and I still am very much in favor of it. I have no problem with the 11,250 or whatever, but I think if we're going to compromise there and go down in size to accommodate Mr. Scheer, I think it should be effective immediately, because we've already wasted a month.
Yeah, we're going into where we said we would make it effective anyway. So we would probably make it effective immediately, because we're gonna be close to November 1 when we do a second reading on this.
Well, I think with the 11,250, I think, and Amanda's mentioned this to us a few times, that just because we're going back to the 15,000 doesn't mean that all the lots are 15,000.
It doesn't mean we have to go to 11,250. That's why I was just seeing what works.
Well, what she was saying to us before is that some of the lots are still going to be 11,250, even without us changing it.
Yeah.
If we look back at the ordinance as is, 11,250 is already included in there.
But,
Mr. Bashir's
So does
point.
that accommodate Mr. Scheer?
Well, no, his point was that.
His is the odd plat issue.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
But the 11,250 would also, you wouldn't be able to split a corner lot either.
So, but that's why we got to discuss it more, right? And get some more input. At this time, any discussion from the public?
Johnny Bashir's 811 Louisiana Avenue. I know y'all have seen my emails, and I've talked to most all of you about this. I'm really going to speak more to the public because some of the things I've sent y'all, they've not heard, and I would like them to be aware of that. So I did go back and look at the historical part of this, and you keep talking about history. And in 1997, the ULDC read like this. This is the actual wording from that. It says, specific additional requirements for the 1911 Historic Plat Overlay District, 1911 plat. The minimum lot area within the LDR district of the 1911 plat is 7,500 square feet. The minimum lot width is 75 feet. A single dwelling may be constructed on a lot less than 75 feet if the parcel consists of any single lot which was platted and recorded in the official records of the county prior to January 15th, 1975. Now, 4 or 5 months after that, the ULDC was redone, and it changed it up to 15,000 square feet. And then in 2012, they reverted back to 7,500 square feet. Interestingly to me, the ULDC speaks to minimum size of less than 5 units per acre. And that equals, I think it was 10,890 square feet. So a 7,500 square foot lot does not work in the current ULDC. So you do need to make some kind of a change here. The 11,250, I think, is a good compromise. I went back subsequent to that and looked at a 20-block area within the plat. And in that 20-block area of the improved parcels, there were 27 parcels that were 7,500 square feet. There were 45 parcels that were 11,250 square feet, and there were 66 parcels that were 15,000 square feet. And then there were some others that were all in between all of that. So historically speaking, a 75 by 150 foot lot, which is 11,250 square feet, is pretty normal within the plat. And that's what I've seen since I've lived here all my life, and I'm used to seeing that. So y'all know my opinion that 11,250 should be workable. It meets all the current ULDC requirements as long as the lot size has to be 75 feet wide. That requires it to be 150 feet deep. It keeps you from having 2 houses built on a 2-lot corner, like is a concern right now. It also prevents someone from taking a house that's on 2 lots right now, tearing that house down and building 2 houses, because it's a parcel that's 2 lots, and if they break it and try to build 2 houses, their lot size is going to be 50 feet wide, and they can't do it. So I think this would solve the issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments? Mr. Walker?
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. I love the statistics. I love everything about it. But you have to walk with their shoes. You have to live there and see what's happening. I am there. Where there would be 3 normal houses, except for the harassment from the code department, there are now 6. This gobbledygook that I got here in a memorandum says, you're looking for taxable revenue? Well, the 6 that are there are not going to give you taxable revenue for 3 years. Because you know what? The developer, the builder, he goes in there and it's in the CRA. He asks you to pay him $5,000 each to build it. He walks away with that. He doesn't pay the taxes on it because that's paid by the previous owner. He just bought those lots for $35,000 each, 2 of them. And he sells the houses, not workable living, for $400,000 a piece. I am surrounded by him right now. The damage is done. I can't escape it. You've kicked this thing down the road for 2 months. You can't answer the decision. The only person that benefits from this is the builder. Follow the money. Follow who benefits. He benefits. He walks away with all profit, doesn't pay any taxes, and gets you to pay $5,000 each for a house to build it in the CRA. Sorry about that, but there's that living thing about again. This is really impacting. Thank you.
Yep, I've been watching that. I think that's yours, yeah.
Mayor, can I speak to that? I have would like to get up with Amanda, but on the particular issue that Mr. Walker speaks about, on that street where these 4 homes are going side by side, you can spit in the window next door. There is no water on that street. There's no water on that street. There's no sewer on that street. They're piping it in from a block away and running it through the backyard of all 4 homes. I don't know how we're allowing that to happen, because what happens if the poor guy in the middle has just paid $400,000 for a home and this guy's sewer or water backs up? They're going to dig his yard up along with everybody else. And I'm baffled on how that's even happening. And the fact that there are no street numbers on that whole street, it's a block long where these 4 homes are going side by side. I just feel like we need to do something about it instead of just allowing it to continue. And I don't know if he's even permitted. And I'm going to say that right out loud. I don't even know if those homes are permitted to be building them like that. 2 permits?
No, I just
thought
want to add
Peace to you too.
on the lots right there where you're talking about right now, there's a pile of palm trees, magnolia trees, and oak trees that were torn down, and we don't have enough trees, and they're just laying there in the middle of that lot.
Because of our last meeting, and it got put off again 2 weeks. That person went out there and dug up all that stuff as fast as they could go. And again, I question whether there's even a permit. I don't know, but I'm just saying, how can we build 4 homes in a row, side by side, and run the water down the yards of all 4 people?
City Manager, do you have a staff that can address this?
I'm actually going to ask Greg to come up. And what street are we talking?
We're talking between Michigan
11th
and Pennsylvania. On 11th Street.
All right.
So it might be beneficial if I explained how a developer goes about getting water and sewer services to a vacant lot. Not all lots have water and sewer readily available out in front of their lot. Okay, when you're dealing with corner lots, when you're dealing with what we term as lot splits, it may not be readily available, but services can be provided if that developer runs them. The city doesn't pay to do it. If they're readily available, the city will supply those hookups. If that lot split, the developer has to run water line for half a city block or install a small grinder pump station and pump his sewer from that house to a manhole that's half a block away. That developer pays for that. That builder pays for that. And that line is a private line. The grinder station, the homeowner would have to maintain. So that's basically how you can have water and sewer services on these areas that don't have a traditional service out in front of their house like we have throughout most of the city.
Mm-hmm. So if things go wrong, it's not going to cost the city. They have to take care of it themselves.
Right. We like those services to be on the city's right of way. In some cases, the situation might be where that sewer line has to be run in the backyard of the other home. That developer puts an easement there. That easement allows that line to be serviced. So it's covered legally for access. Yes, they might have to come dig it up, fix something, unclog it, something like that, but those easements are put back if you have to do that work.
But it won't ever be serviced by the city. Totally his responsibility.
Correct. It's a private property issue. You know, we have our right of way. It's your side, it's our side. We like them to be in the right of way up front along the road where we can access it. We can service it if need be.
So it seems as if this is more of, I guess, a policy issue versus a developer issue, something that we might need to address in some other type of policy or research that on that. So.
Yeah, our policy is developer always pays for expansion of those services. We might have the mains out in the street, but if the guy wants to do it, it's going to cost him to do it. And it's possible it may not be economically feasible. We've had several do the water sewer availability for some of these things and determine, well, I can't afford the permitting and engineering that this requires, so they pass it on to somebody else.
So permitting is very important to that issue.
Yes, water lines, sewer lines all have to be permitted. If you're expanding the mains by the Department of Environmental Protection, you got to sample them. There's a whole procedure for making sure that potable drinking water line is serviceable, is legal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments from the public? Do we have a motion from the commission?
Motion to table until we can work on things and then review it. So that's
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to table until we can discuss the wording and allow city attorney and planning director to do more investigation so that we can have clear language on this ordinance. And we have a second. City manager, if you'll call the vote.
Is there discussion?
We just discussed. City manager, we call the vote.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
No.
Commissioner Tender?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 12, final reading of ordinance number 1118, proposed small-scale future land use map amendment, SSA 2106, 1220 Ohio Avenue, mixed use to commercial. City manager, if you read the ordinance by title only.
Ordinance 1118, an ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes of a land use change from mixed use to commercial for an approximate 0.334 plus minus acres property located on Ohio Avenue in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
All right, thank you. This is the second and final reading. And so, Ms. Richards, if you'll now explain and be available for answers or questions.
This is the final reading of Ordinance 1118, a request for a small-scale future land use map amendment for a portion of parcel 10000-000, lots 11 and 12 being a total of approximately 0.344 acres in size. The parcel is currently vacant. The address is 1220 Ohio Avenue. The owner is Gerald E. Butts, as is the applicant, and the agent is James Lanina, although we have different representation from Panhandle Engineering here tonight if you had questions of them. The existing future land use category is mixed use on lots 11 and 12. The requested future land use category is commercial. The other portion of this parcel, lots 9 and 10, already have a commercial land use. The adjacent future land use map designations to the north is mixed use, to the south is mixed use, to the east is commercial, and to the west is mixed use. So these are the four lots here, 9, 10, 11, and 12, in between Ohio Avenue and Florida Avenue. And what we have is a situation, you can just about make them out in surrounded in blue, a situation where the parcel has two land uses on it. So the two lots on the east already have commercial, and the two lots on the west have mixed use. So the applicant is asking to change the two lots on the west to commercial so that the entire parcel will be commercial.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or just general comments for discussion?
I was just curious if anybody that lives on the, are those residential homes on the other side of that
Yes,
empty lot?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They have a mixed-use land use, but they are residential homes, and we have not had any letters or comments about this at all.
Thank you.
All right. Any other general comments, discussion, questions?
This item went to the Planning Commission on September the 7th, and the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval, just so you all know.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion from the public? All right. No discussion from the public. Is there a motion from the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Motion is second. City manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. All right. Motion passed. Agenda item number 13, final reading of ordinance number 1119, proposed small-scale future land use map amendment, SSA 21-07- Florida Avenue parcel number 09178-010-000, mixed use to commercial. City manager, if you would read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes of a land use change from mixed use to commercial for an approximate 0.427 plus or minus acres of property located on Florida Avenue in the city of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Thank you, city manager. This is the second and final reading. Ms. Richards, if you will.
Yes, sir. This is the final reading of Ordinance 1119, a request for a small-scale future land use map amendment for parcel number 09178-010-000, approximately 0.427 acres in size. The parcel is currently vacant and located adjacent to 401 Florida Avenue. The owner is Brian Nikkei. The applicant is Brian Nikkei. The agent, Bob Garrett, Coastline Engineering and Construction, is here this evening if you had any questions or if he wanted to make any comments. The address is on Florida Avenue, and it's lots 24 through 28. The existing land use category is mixed use, and he is requesting a future land use category of commercial. The adjacent future land use map designations are to the north, mixed use, to the south, mixed use, to the east is commercial, in fact it's Po Folks on Ohio, and to the west is low density residential. So outlined in red here, we have the parcel that we're talking about. Currently, as you can see there, it is mixed use. There's commercial on the east side, but there's low-density residential on the west side. In the land use amendment that was just before you, the prior agenda item, in that situation, there was commercial on the east side, but there was mixed use on the west side. In this situation, there is low-density residential on the west side. This is how it looks now as mixed use. If it were changed, this would be a commercial parcel that would be behind the existing commercial, but would have mixed use and low density residential surrounding it. And I think you're aware that we have had some letters. I have had letters that were submitted by the applicant. I've had 3 letters that were for, and I've had about 4 letters, I think, that were against, but I believe you've probably had quite a few more than that. Thank you.
Thank you. And can you remind us of what the planning board
Oh, sorry,
suggested?
sir. Yes, of course. The Planning Commission failed to make a recommendation. Someone made a motion. One of the planning board members made a motion to approve, but nobody would second it, and it died for lack of a motion. So there was no motion made.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or just general discussion on this? Anyone from the public? Yes, sir.
My name is Stan Kirkland, and my wife and I live at 312 Florida Avenue, and we've lived there since 1985. And Mayor and Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to address you on this issue. When I first noticed the sign down in front of this particular piece of property, I thought it was a code violation because there's a semi-truck parked on the property. I was not aware that there was a request in front of the commission to change this particular piece of parcel from mixed use to commercial until 2 days before your last meeting, and it came, but it was not appropriate for us to speak at that meeting. To my knowledge, there's no commercially zoned property on Florida Avenue north of 5th Street. And that is a very nice, quiet neighborhood. And we're simply, no offense to Mr. Nikkei. I know Mr. Nikkei. I like him. But I strongly disagree with him about changing the designation of this property to commercial use in a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richard, would you be able to, do you have any, I guess, insight on his reference to no commercial zone property north of 5th Street?
There is mixed use, and there is some commercial. You can see on 5th Street. Let me see. That's commercial there. Can you see that one? So that's mixed use. This is currently mixed use, mixed use, mixed use, mixed use, mixed use. That over there is commercial. That's 5th Street. So that's south of 5th Street. So there is no commercial further north. And I would just like to reiterate that land use change is governed by the state. With parcels that are over 10 acres, it has to go to the state, be transmitted to the state prior to the commission even being able to vote on it, vote on the ordinance. If it's under 10 acres, it's a small scale, and you all are allowed to go ahead and take action on it to vote or deny it, vote for or deny. If you vote for, then you've approved it, but we still have to wait 30 days in case it's challenged before it becomes effective. And one of the things that's required of the Planning Commission, myself, and of you when you're making decisions on land use map amendment requests is not to consider any particular use that anybody says they're going to put on there, but to consider the consistency with the surrounding areas and all possible potential uses that could go on there once that land use is changed. We have had situations where people have changed the land use, saying they were going to put something on there, and then the very next day it's been sold to someone who's put something entirely different on there. When you're looking at a land use change, all you're supposed to be, and all I'm supposed to be looking at, is consistency with the surrounding areas, which is why I just want to bring to your attention, and it might make me very unpopular, but in this instance, staff has recommended denial.
Thank you. You're welcome. Additional comments from the public? Yes, sir.
I'm Rusty Russell. My wife and I live at 107 West 3rd Street in Lynn Haven, and the general theme tonight seems to be about quality of life. So I want to give you what I think is a qualified opinion. My family, when I was in high school, we lived on Kentucky. I got my first speeding ticket on Tennessee, coming home from Mosley, and I was in the first graduating class Mosley had in 1975. I know Lynn Haven. I thought then quality of life was pretty good. I'll tell you, my career took me away from home, but a little over 2 decades ago, I was given an opportunity to transfer back to Bay County. I chose Lynn Haven. That's where I am now. I actually moved in next door to Stan, bought a house around the corner because I love the neighborhood. So what we're really talking about is quality of life. One of the things I want to point out, we want to protect that quality of life. We think that a zoning change, allowing commercial activity into our Lynn Haven neighborhood, would have a negative effect on our quality of life. we're hearing mixed use, mixed use, mixed use, then the subject property, and then mixed use. The reality, you've got new single-family home, existing single-family home, subject property, single-family home. That's what's there. And so I'm asking you guys to consider that. I don't think inserting a commercial property in the middle of our neighborhood really fits. So we're asking you to deny the request.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mickey Beavis. I live at 219 New York Avenue. My wife and I are both here tonight to say that the bottom line is we are against this amendment. I'm not going back over everything that's been said by these two gentlemen before me. I agree with everything they said. This is a nice residential area, one where we get out, we can walk, we can talk to neighbors in the morning and the evening, and there's not a lot of that left. And this, we don't want it to be made commercial. We want it to stay residential. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible to change the slide, to go back to the slide where we could see the trees and the whatever's right there? Good evening. My name is Jody Hare, and I live at 210 Florida Avenue. I'm also a biology teacher at Mosley High School. My former address was 408 Alabama Avenue. I am against allowing to change this Florida Avenue property from, as it's listed on the Bay County Code, residential to community property. If you'll notice, there are no commercial properties north of 5th Street on Florida Avenue in Lynn Haven, as was evident on the prior screen. In fact, south of Florida Street on Florida Avenue, there are no commercial properties in between residential properties. The owner of this Florida Avenue property is asking for a zoning change to a commercial property that is between two residential lots, as was stated already. This change is to bring a business that would include increased business traffic to a residential community, an increase in loud noises, a dumpster which attracts rodents, long work hours in the parking lot, and automobile areas. This change would be an increase in flammable and combustible materials and chemical hazards as an increased risk of fire. There would also be an increase in paint smells. The nearby residents would expect excessive lighting at night. The business would be used for storage, empty car lot, which would be an eyesore. So you see, I've given it a lot of thought about my quality of life coming up. This is still a neighborhood full of families, retired professionals, grandparents, grandchildren, teens, and babies. The residents of Florida Avenue have seen an increase in golf cart riders, joggers, bikers, and walkers, and this business will increase the likelihood of an accident on our street. I know that businesses have restrictions, and what bothers me, and you can see it on that picture, there was still a semi-truck trailer, and there was still a boat on that property, even though code enforcement has already been there and asked them to clear that lot. I don't trust the occupant with following any restrictions placed upon passage of this property to commercial use. He has not removed these two items. You can drive by, they're still there. I plan on retiring and living the rest of my life here at 210 Florida Avenue. You are an elected official that may or may not be in office for 4 more years. Your decision in this request will not affect you, but will affect me, my husband at 210 Florida, my son at 206 Florida, my brother and sister-in-law at 202 Florida, my in-laws right behind us on New York Avenue. My husband and I often sit and swing on our front porch. We can hear the thump, thump, thump of cars as they pass Bailey Bridge, instead of sounds of a loud shop in a residential community. Please vote no to this reasoning request.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
I'm Bob Garrett with Coastline Engineering, and I want to explain why we're trying to change it from mixed use to commercial. The only reason we're changing it from mixed use to commercial is because of my client's business that's going to occupy one of the bays of this business, which is a trade service establishment. We could build exactly what we're trying to build right now and make it retail commercial. It's already good for mixed use right there. But the only reason we're trading it because he does a hydraulic line business where he replaces and repairs the hydraulic lines for businesses all over. And so in order to do that, we had to change it to a trade service establishment for that one bay. In order to do that, we had to take it before the CRA to get approval from the CRA, which they approved it and said they had no problem, but we had to change it to commercial in order to do the trade service establishment. So we could still build the same thing we're building. However, his business couldn't be in the one bay. But that was the only reason we were changing it to commercial, was to allow him to occupy one of the bays with his type of business.
All right. Thank you. After this gentleman, the gentleman in the peach shirt. No, you come, sir, and then he'll be next with the.
How you doing? My name's Brian McKay. I live at 401 Florida Avenue. I've been a resident there since 1960. I've paid my taxes since 1960. I own the house north of the project spot there, so that is also my lot. It is also rated mixed-use commercial. I understand that there is no commercial use north of 5th Street, but Po Folks is north of 5th Street. So I don't understand the problem. The tractor trailer and the boat are all tagged since the city told me to get all the stuff out of there. I go by code enforcement. I've been down there in front of your little courtroom, took everything. Everything's supposed to be taken care of. The trailer is tagged, the boat is tagged. So that's all I have. I've been jumped through every hoop that y'all have put in front of me. Now I'm just trying to get this building going, and that's all I can do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Joe Hare. I live at 210 Florida Avenue, and I've been a chemistry teacher at my alma mater, Mosley High School, for 33 years. There have been 4 generations of our family living in that neighborhood since 1975. 3 generations of my family still live there. That part of Lynn Haven is one of the oldest established neighborhoods in the city, being part of the Lynn Haven Hotel Platte. There's a Lynn Haven resident that doesn't even live on Florida Avenue trying to get a lot north of 5th Street rezoned to commercial use so that he can build a 3-bay mechanic shop and work on trucks and heavy machinery. Granted, that lot backs up to commercial property, Po Folks, but that property is on the main highway, Highway 77. The lot in question is in a neighborhood zoned for single-family dwellings and is bordered on both sides and across the street with homes, not businesses. In fact, as has been mentioned before, there are no businesses on Florida Avenue north of 5th Street at all. Allowing this change would be destructive and detrimental to the entire neighborhood and starts a precedence that could endanger any neighborhood in Lynn Haven, including your own. If you ask me about my quality of life, right now it's pretty wonderful. My parents live right behind me. My son and my brother live next door to me. I'm retiring at the end of this school year. I'd like to retire and live in a residential neighborhood, not a commercial one. So I'm asking you, actually I'm begging you, to please vote against this zone change request. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Neil McGee. I live at 316 Florida Avenue, which is basically diagonal from that. I've been there about 20 years, and I'm just being honest. I don't want to tell anybody else what they need to do with their property. That's their business. I live next door to Mr. Stan. What he does on his property, in my opinion, is kind of his business. I have an opinion, but it's his business. But we bought in that neighborhood because it was a neighborhood. We want to have our property value stay up. I don't know if it'll go up or go down, but I don't believe putting a business in that residential area is going to help it. So we're kind of asking and hoping that y'all will not allow this. This is nothing against the owner. We just don't want that to be a whole lot more traffic, and we don't want a business that we look at every day. Again, it's my opinion. It's none of my business. But I think you've heard from a lot of people that live on that street. He doesn't live on that street. We live on the street. It's not our business what people do on their property, but it is your business. And we've made it clear that we're really asking you not to change our neighborhood. So we hope that you will take that into consideration. And also, I'm just asking you personally, if it was your neighborhood and your street, would you want that to be across the street from you? I don't think that you would. So thank you for your time and your effort.
Thank you.
I would like to just let everybody know, just in case someone wants to do something later on any of those mixed-use parcels, that mixed use does allow for certain types of commercial. Mixed use, the way it's zoned already, does allow for businesses to be located. It's just that it's less intense than the uses that are allowed within commercial. But somebody could legitimately come and ask for a development order for one of those mixed-use properties now, and have a right to have a development order if it was an allowable use.
Thank you. Any additional public commentary? Commission, do we have a motion for this? All right, there's no motion on item number 13. Agenda item number 14, discussion and possible approval to extend Mr. Emery Pitt's contract to 12 months to provide building inspection services to the city. And for those who may not know, the previous motion did die for lack of motion. Or the previous agenda item died for lack of motion. All right, Ms. Jennifer.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Thank you for letting me give you an update on our efforts to hire our building code administrator. Back in May, you all approved the city manager bringing that function into the city as one of our units. And it was our intention to have an applicant and someone hired within 90 days. We've advertised that position, and we've had 9 applicants, of which only 3 were somewhat qualified. 1 was qualified with a Florida license. 2 others were qualified with experience from other states. We entered into negotiation with the qualified building code administrator. However, we could not reach an agreement. That individual was already hired by a municipality locally, and honestly, probably by coming to our interview, that helped bolster that person's position. The other 2, while qualified with experience, because they do not have a Florida license, would have to work under a provisional license and work under a building code administrator. Our vendor is a licensed building code administrator. Therefore, we would have to continue that contract in order to get anyone from out of the area qualified. Since that time, I've done a bit of research on how difficult it is to become a licensed building code administrator. You must have in excess of 10 years of experience. You must have qualifications that the state of Florida recognize, which, by the way, they have no reciprocity with any other state. That means you can present your case before the state board, which we had 1 applicant do so, who had over 15 years of experience as a building code administrator from Pennsylvania and Georgia, but was denied the ability to get a provisional license. This is a difficult journey that we're on. It is not going to be completed in a week. I think we're going to need a year in order to recruit and find someone who's eligible. And in order to do that, we need to keep a building code administrator, not only to do the functions of the city, but also act as that administrator if we get someone who wants to come to our lovely town with the quality life, but comes from out of state. So it's my recommendation, and I think the city manager agreed with my recommendation, to extend our current vendor for 1 year while we continue on this journey of finding a good administrator, building code administrator for the city.
Any questions for?
Yes, Mayor. The one question I did have was if we extend a year contract for Mr. Pitts, and in that year's time you find somebody that you want to hire, are we obligated to pay a year's salary to him, or how would that work?
Well, Mr. Pitts is not on a salary.
Right, he gets paid for...
But in talking with other building code administrators in our area, the ability to have a vendor to help backfill the need is still going to be ever present. Okay. Our local cities, currently the beach and Panama City, they have vendors to fill voids. They have vendors to fill specialty areas. So I don't think that will harm the city. It may reduce how much we use that contractor. But again, if we get somebody who's provisionally licensed, we still have to have that overlay of a license. And then even with that, we would need that inspection help. We haven't even gotten to the inspector level, which in many ways is just as intense as the code administrator as well. Okay. This is very, very niche market, and we're finding it very difficult. We're having to reach out. Even though we do a national search, we're going to have to reach out to very specific areas and associations to help us get this accomplished.
Okay. And does Mr. Pitts work for anybody else in the county? Or would he just be working for Lynn Haven?
His contracts, I don't know, and I don't know that we have an exclusion for his,
It's not exclusive. I don't know that he's doing it anywhere else.
And
he's able to meet our need, I know that.
Yeah. And he's out of Chipley, so I think he probably works on his own, doing some other things as well. I can tell you from the check request approvals that we get from Ms. Roman that he's pretty busy. So we definitely want someone that's going to be thorough and can certainly do the job, because whoever comes to Lynn Haven is going to be busy.
And this, I think, and you can help me, Council, but I think this is giving you an update. I think that actually the city manager has the authority, since this is a professional services agreement. Is that correct?
Right, yeah. So the city manager has discretion as far as on professional services. So we don't, and again, this is going to be more of a, I know it's 12 months, but still it's temporary. So as far as, we can always go out during the next 12 months and bid this out, or still try to seek a qualified in-house person, which I know has been discussed all throughout this year. It's just a matter of not being able to find anybody to fill that role as an employee.
If you all have any contacts, please let me know, because I would love to be able to reach out to them.
All right. Any additional questions or discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public? All right.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. City manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. All right. Discussion and possible approval to award the legislative road paving project bid phase 2 to Roberts and Roberts. Have our assistant public works director, Mr. Chris Lightfoot.
So as you recall, several meetings ago, we rejected the bids on the first round that we received. They were over budget, so we did some re-engineering on some of the roads and reduced the scope of work and put it out to bid. This time we had two bidders, Roberts and Roberts and American Sand and Asphalt, and Roberts and Roberts is the low bid. So tonight we're asking the commission to award it to Roberts and Roberts so we can move forward with this project and get our legislative money and get these paving done.
Thank you. I know we had a couple of commissioners that were out Friday, so just to give you a little update on the discussion, if you're not able to listen to it, is that actually, in order to still meet our budget, I think there was 12 projects on that list initially for the bid, so we're cutting back to 6 projects so that we can stay within our budget. However, city manager and staff are looking for resources to be able to, within our upcoming budget year, to be able to do those other 6 projects as well. So we're not going to do all 12 initially. We're going to do 6 within this approval, and then look for sources and funds for the other 6 that were also on that initial bid proposal as well.
And just to show how pricing has been, the City of Panama City put a bid out. I think they read it last week or week before. Their cost opinion was $250,000, and then it came in right at $600,000 for miscellaneous road repairs. City of Panama City Beach, they had a bid opening last week as well. Roberts & Roberts won that one. It was the only bidder they had for miscellaneous paving as well. So prices, we're seeing it. All of our projects through local government, DOT is seeing it, so these are pretty spot on with what everything is right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Tender?
You saw the question in my eyes. Based on what you just said, and I'm sorry, but I only heard half of what you said. Are you saying there are 6 more projects behind this one that if we vote yes on this, Roberts & Roberts automatically gets those 6?
No, they don't automatically get those 6. I'm just wanting to provide clarity as we're communicating with the public. The original bid had 12 so that we could stay within our budget, because Roberts & Roberts was still over budget. But to stay within our budget, city manager and staff cut out 6 simple projects.
Okay, gotcha.
And are giving the 6 more extensive and expensive projects so that we can get those 6 covered. But we're looking for sources to be able to provide funding to get those 6 simple projects completed. So
thank you.
That was something we had discussed Friday, but I just wanted you all to know that information as well.
Basically, the 6 that are cut are the first ones that will be done next time funding is available.
Any additional questions from the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion from the public? All right. City manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Agenda item number 16. Thank you. Discussion and possible approval of resolution number 2021-09-373, opting into the statewide opioid litigation settlement plan. City manager, if you would read the resolution, please.
A resolution authorizing the City of Lynn Haven, Florida to join with the State of Florida and other local governmental units as a participant in the Florida Memorandum of Understanding and Formal Agreement implementing a unified plan.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Right, and so as you know, a couple of years ago, the city opted in as a participant in the nationwide opioid litigation. There's a separate counsel that's been handling this class action lawsuit, and the various drug manufacturers have basically struck a settlement. It's basically being run by each state attorney general's office, and so in Florida, what they've done is pitched all the cities and counties in the state to get as many to participate as possible who are in this litigation to sign up with this memorandum of understanding. I've talked to both of the chiefs about it. Basically, it's like an 18-year payout. The first several years, you get about $7,500, then it goes down a little bit, and then you get a little bit less. And there's specific things you can use it on, like drug prevention and certain campaigns and things like that. But they've looked at all this, and from speaking to the class action attorneys, they recommend approval joining in the settlement. Otherwise, we'd have to just go it alone and sit in litigation for another several years and maybe just get the same amount of money.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for our city attorney? Any discussion? All right, is there a motion from?
Move to approve.
I think Pat got it first.
Second it.
All right, second. Any discussion from the public? All right, city manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 17, discussion and possible approval of resolution Number 2021-09-374, setting the stormwater utility fees located on the utility bill to $0.00. City Manager, if you would please read the resolution.
A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, revising the city's established stormwater utility fees, amending Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances to include such revised fees and providing an effective date. Mayor, this is just one of the formalities that we do need to put in place, stating that the commission agrees to put the utility bill that was the fees that were on the utility bill go to zero. As you have stated earlier, that those fees will come off the utility bill.
Thank you. One question.
Go ahead.
One question I do have is I do see that if it's approved, that it'll be effective immediately today, the 28th. So one question I do have is, with the cycling, is there any remote possibility that someone still might be charged incidentally, although we're passing today, effective today, that maybe someone is still in the cycle of their bill, that they might still see something on there?
They should not see anything on there. We only have 2 cycles. One is the 15th and the 30th. So if we can get this done today, starting October 1, you should not see anything on there.
Okay. Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Oh.
No. Any discussion from us? All right. Any discussion from the public? All right. City Manager will call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.